Who out there was excited about the move on MSTY today? Nice. I was super excited. Love to see it going up like this, and I can only hope that it continues. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So today MSTY went up. Very nice move on MSTY and MSTR as well. And we're going to take a look at that, and we'll also take a look at ULTY and CONY, as both of those moved up as well after paying out their distributions. Alright, so here we are looking at MSTY. Look at this. Ooh, yes. Love to see that. How about you? Anybody else out there still has MSTY other than me? I know there's a lot of people been selling off on it, but I'm still holding strong. I know August, September, and October can be rough months for the market, so I'm definitely riding it out. As you can see, MSTY today opened at 1586. It went as high as 1642. Oh yes, and ended up closing at 1620. And you can see in the after hours it is moving up a little bit more, but definitely take that after hours with a grain of salt, right? Because we'll take a look at MSTR, and I'm going to show you where the hurdle is that's coming up for MSTR. And of course, we've got to get MSTR to get past that hurdle so that MSTY can ride up with it. Because ultimately, it does depend on what MSTR does. Because if MSTR falls, MSTY's going to fall. If MSTR goes up, MSTY's going to go up. But as you can see, just today, we went up 3.65%. And that's a 57 cents move for the day. Like I said, we were at that 1586 at open, and now we're sitting at 1620. Oh, that's got to get you excited. And like I said, I'm not sure who else out there still owns MSTY. I hear a lot of people bailing out of MSTY. I'm holding strong, and I've still got that put out there for that $16 put. Now that thing is out till January, right? So a lot can happen between now and then for sure. But I'm hoping that MSTY can start moving back up, especially once we start getting into November, December area. I'm hoping we start seeing a little bit of a rally and we can start pushing this thing on up so that come January, we're sitting at 18, 19, heck, I wouldn't mind 20 bucks. How about you? But I'm just happy we have got back into the $16 range. Now I do have some lines drawn in here because I had that bottom line and I had that little resistance line right here, right? But like I said, it really matters what MSTR's doing. These lines here for me really just helps my buy points, right? That way I know when it's low and I can look to buy some more shares. Now we are looking at the actual chart. So this is the actual movement of the candles. And we're having this nice little turn around, right? At least I hope that's exactly what it's doing, right? Turning around and going to move on back up. That would be awesome. And to look at those indicators, let's just go ahead and flip it over to the adjusted chart. And let's check out the indicators and see where it sets on the Bollinger Band. And here we are on that Bollinger Band. As you can see, we were squeezing in on that Bollinger Band, right? It was squeezing in on those candles. And what happened? We popped, right? And we shot up above it. So now we're pushing that Bollinger Band out. And you can see the momentum bars here are increasing. That MACD is separating even further out. Love it, right? That's what we want to see. We want to see this momentum increase, and we want to see this separation on the positive side to get further apart from that signal line. That is a great sign. Now let's take a look at MSTR and let's just see what are those hurdles that we have coming up. Now here we are looking at MSTR. You can consider MSTR as basically the decoder ring for MSTY, right? Because whatever MSTR is doing, MSTY can only react to it, right? Because if MSTR's dropping, MSTY's going to be dropping. If MSTR's going up, MSTY's going to be going up. Therefore, we look at MSTR to see where MSTY could be going. But I still like to look at MSTY because I want to see where my buy points are, right? And as you can see, we were at the top of that Bollinger Band on MSTY. So for me, it's definitely not a buy, as I'm looking for those little pullbacks. But in a couple videos back, I had showed where had I not purchased any shares in August, this next pay date for MSTY, I would actually have had my MSTY paid off. So I can tell you, I'm even going to be a little more particular on the buy points that I do on MSTY, at least until I get my MSTY paid off. But you can see here on MSTR, what are those hurdles? Well, we've got a couple of them, right? We've got one that's in our favor right here. And this line we had as our support line. Well, it was the resistance line, right? Because we were sitting in it. So that was our resistance line. Well, today we opened and closed above it, right? I can zoom in here. You can see that wick at the bottom is actually sitting right on top of that MA5. Now that's not a strong support, right? That's a MA5. That's only a 5-day interval. But the fact that it is setting on top of it, I do like that. And it is above our previous resistance. It did not cross into it. So therefore now we can change this resistance now to a support line. That is a great thing for it to do, right? I definitely love the fact that this is now our support line. But what is the big hurdle? That big hurdle that we have to get past on MSTR. We have to. Because if we can't, it's going to come on back down. And that big hurdle is this big red line right here. And what is that line? That line is the MA200, okay? And that is a 200 interval on whatever interval you're looking at, right? And right now we're looking at a day chart. So that means this red line is a 200-day moving average, okay? And what did it do today? Well, I'm going to zoom in even a little bit more, right? Because this candle here and this line, that is the most important thing right now. We did go past it, right? But what happened? There are sellers right there who do not want MSTR to get above that MA200, right? So they're going to push it on down. And that's what happened, right? It went up above it and it came back down. So we got rejected at that MA200 for the day. Now, that's not a big deal at the moment, right? And the reason I say that is because look at this move that it made for the day. I mean, we went from a low of 334.63 to a high of 358.25. So we made a heck of a move today. So you can't get too upset the fact that when it hit that big resistance, this big brick wall right here, after it's moved this much, you can't get too mad at the fact that it got knocked back down, right? Because this MA200, it's a big boy, right? That is the big boy. That is the one you want to stay above, and that's the one we need to get back above on MSTR. And if we can do that, then we can hopefully use that MA200 as a support line, and then we can bounce, and then we can move this thing on back up. Like I said, we did get rejected, but we did have a heck of a move today. So by the time it got up to that point, those buyers probably were a little bit exhausted by that time, right? So let's take that win of the fact that we did move up all the way up to the MA200, actually broke past it, but then the MA200 knocked it back down and said respect, right? That's what it basically told it. But the fact that we keep hitting it, if we can keep hitting it, we can chip away at it, weaken it, and then we can get on past it, right? That's what needs to happen. And that MA200 currently is sitting at 354.31. And as you can see, we're at 349.12, and after hours, we're at 350.26. So with that MA at 354 and some change right there, oh man, if we can only, right? If we can only. So I don't know about you, but I am watching that, because if we can break that, it's going to get exciting, right? But then, of course, there's always the next resistance line, right? There's always the next one. unless you're at the all-time highs, and then there is no resistance because you're in unknown territory, right? But until you hit that point, there's always the next resistance. So currently, of course, we have that MA200. And then I do have a resistance line here at this 365.70, as I was using that because that's where we were using as a support over here, right? That was a support right here before we did break through it here. But if we can get past this MA200, people, this is the big hurdle. We've got to get past it. Now, we might get rejected and knocked down because that 200 will demand some respect, right? It will demand that respect. So when it's going up, it will probably get knocked down yet again, unless there are a lot of volume that's going to push this through. And look at this volume right here. Whoo! Look at that green volume. That is some nice green volume. And you see over here, we did try to get back up above it right over here, right? After we broke through. But again, like I said, that MA200, boy, that's a bad one, right? That's a tough one right there. And it did. It just knocked it right on back down. But now we are testing it again. So would love to see it get on past this, get back up here so we can start moving Mr. on back up, and we can start getting those prices where Mr. can get some respect, right? And of course, if we can move Mr. up, ooh boy, here's our Misty, and Misty's going to follow right along with it. Now, I don't know about you, but I am excited. But I'm always excited about Misty, right? I know a lot of people are upset with the distributions dropping, right? With the price dropping, and rightfully so, right? I mean, rightfully so. I mean, that's a big drop in the price. That's a big drop in the distributions. And who knows? It may drop again next week, right? Don't know. But I'm in it for a bit more of the long term, right? I'm holding it until Misty does not pay distributions again. So if they stop paying distributions, then I'll take my ball and go home. But until then, I'm here to play. And once I get my Misty paid off, then I can buy more shares. I can increase the number of shares I have, because currently I have 375 shares that are just sitting there. And I have this covered call right here, which is another 100 shares. So I have a total of 475 shares. But this call right here is expiring this weekend. And that's a $25 call. And don't get me wrong, I would love to see Misty get above $25 so that it would take my shares tomorrow. I would welcome it, right? I would welcome it. But I don't think it's going to happen, that's for sure. But with my 475 shares currently, once I get Misty paid off, then I can start rolling some of my distributions back into Misty, buying up some more shares, increasing my share count at no cost to me. The only cost would be my gains, right? Because I would have already earned back all of my capital that I spent buying Misty. So anyway, I think you get the point here. And I am just excited about Misty and where we're possibly headed with it. So let's just take a quick look at CONY. And you can see here on CONY, we are back looking at the actual chart on CONY. It was up today. Now you can see there's a candle and it's actually below yesterday's candle. Well, why is that? That 45-cent distribution came out of the price of the stock, right? Now it won't pay out until tomorrow, but the distribution amount comes out of the price of the stock on the X date. And today being the X date, so therefore that's why you see that price and that candle drop right there. So it was here, and now we're dropped all the way back down to here when we opened. But look at this. We moved from that open of 680, and we went as high as 713 before pulling back just a little bit and closing at 702. A very nice recovery of part of that distribution, right? That distribution being 45 cents, and we moved 33 cents just today. And that's almost a 5% move on the day. What a move on CONY. Go CONY, right? Woo! And if we look at the adjusted chart right here, I can turn on my Bollinger Band and we can see, look at this thing. It's busting out the top of the Bollinger Band. That's because it had a heck of a move today, right? So, love to see it. It is not a buy for me at the moment. I will keep the shares that I currently have, and that's 245 shares. And I will just keep riding this one, and I can just only hope that it just continually moves up. Now let's just take a quick look at the last one here of ULTY. And here we are on ULTY. Look at this. I mean, isn't this nice? We're at 562. A very nice day today with a 1.13% move and a 6 cents move up today. But it actually had got as high as about 565, right? Not too shabby, right? I mean, if you're moving 6 cents, you're thinking, wow, that's not much, right? But you got to remember, this was the X date. We'll get paid 9 cents on the pay date, but that 9 cents came out of the price of the stock today. So if it dropped and then we recovered 6 cents of that, we almost recovered all of that distribution drop in one day. So I'm telling you, today was a lovely day in the market. Everything was going up. Nothing was coming down, allowing me to buy low, but that's okay. I love it to move on up. So my average right now is 150 shares at $5.66. I still have my buy down here just in case, but I have no problem if it just sits there and does nothing, right? At a 530. How about you? Are you still in MSTY and ULTY? Or have you just decided to go ahead and pack it up? And if you have, that's understandable. But for me, I am sticking it out. And I'm also quite excited about CONY. But keep in mind, none of this is financial advice. You have to decide on what is right for your portfolio. There's not a wrong answer and there's not a right answer because none of us have that crystal ball, right? But for those out there who are still with me in MSTY, all I got to say is go MSTY. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, legend out.